What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So in the YouTube community for the prison genre, there's tons of people coming on for interviews. But the one thing that I haven't seen is bringing a female on that's been to JIT camp. So my boy's girl's here, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her life and what she went through in the Florida Department of Corrections. So why don't you tell the people what your name is and where you're from?
My name's Andrea Carswell. I'm originally from Michigan, but I moved to Florida when I was 11, so I'd say most of my life is down here. I've been down here longer than up there. I moved to Hudson, which is in Pasco, and my parents decided to build a house in the neighborhood of Parkwood Acres.
Okay.
And there was a large family who lived down the street, and then a couple other kids. It was a lot of kids in that neighborhood, my age, so I got close with them. We started going to middle school. We were all really good friends, and then one of my friends got hit by a car while she was riding her bicycle.
Oh, wow.
And at this time, we had already been experimenting with marijuana, and, we would do ecstasy sometimes, little things like that, normal teenage stuff. Well, when she got hit by that car, she had been prescribed Vicodin.
Oh, okay.
And we knew something was up because her mom would keep them kind of put up. Not necessarily locked away, but kind of put up. So we started taking those, wondering what was up, and we loved it. We thought it was, it was awesome.
So you
it was fun.
Hooked right at that point?
Pretty much. I mean, we thought it was fun. I wouldn't say I was physically addicted right then because we weren't doing them as frequently yet.
Okay.
But then a few years later, Roxy's hit the streets, which for people that don't know, they're oxycodone, and there were supposed to be, my mom worked for pain management at the time, and they were supposed to be what they called, my mom said they called it the miracle drug. It wasn't supposed to be as addictive. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be as addictive as Oxycontin was, but little did they know it was highly addictive. So at the time when I was a teenager growing up, that was the drug that was popular, unfortunately, which not just mentally dependent on it, you're physically dependent on it.
Yeah, so for the people that don't know that are watching this, so back in, that was like what, 2000?
Probably like 2005, 2006.
Okay. So in Pasco County, Florida, back in 2005, 2006, there was a big epidemic for pain pills, and that's kind of when it really started for the whole country at that time. So in that area, I would say 1 out of 3 people were doing pills at that time, if not more.
If not more.
Yeah, so, and then that's when the doctors were really corrupt, and they were just writing scripts left and right. So did you go to a doctor? Or
I didn't go to a doctor because when I got addicted to them, I was too young. We weren't even 18 years old yet.
So how old were you then when you first did that?
When I first got addicted?
Yeah.
I would say I was first physically addicted, really dependent on pills at 16.
Wow.
At 16.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when it was really, I would be sick, I needed them, I had mood swings. If I didn't have pills, I didn't go to school.
Okay.
And at that time, too, a lot of kids I went to school with, football players, wrestlers, when they got hurt, they were being prescribed those, too.
Right.
So, they were all over the place, and then you have these high school kids all addicted to pills.
Yeah, at that time, you could literally walk into a doctor and say, I fell off a ladder and my back hurts, and you would leave with like 300 pills. That's the epidemic I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So what time in your life do you think that you started, I'm assuming you started doing criminal activities and shit to obtain pills, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had, I was hanging out with kids who were also older than us, already out of school, so they were seeing doctors, so we would sell pills to make pills.
Right.
I did a lot of stealing at that time.
Okay.
I would go to, Walmart, Victoria's Secret, all those places and steal stuff and sell it, and that's how I was doing it.
So you would just walk in and walk out with shit?
Yeah, I would have like a big purse, and like at Victoria's Secret, I would just like rip a little hole and get the beeper
let me get
off.
that.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I did it for a long time, and I did eventually go to jail for it. I did 6 months for misdemeanors, for petty thefts.
When was the first time that you actually caught a felony?
First time I ever caught a felony, I was 19, and I caught 12 at one time.
12 felonies?
Yeah. I had never been on felony probation. I had only done 6 months for misdemeanors, and I caught 12 felonies. I was 19.
So that's a perfect example of what I was talking about the pills in that area at that time. So 19 years old, on pills, and caught 12 felonies. That's the power that those pills had in them, and they still do, but back then they were just everywhere. So when you caught the 12 felonies, how did that all start? What did you get arrested for, and what happened?
So I was hanging out with a friend of mine who turned into my co-defendant the first time I went to prison, and he was seeing a lot of doctors. He was doctor shopping, so I would go to all the doctors with him. We would do that, sell pills, and that's how I was hanging out with him, living with him pretty much.
Okay.
And we would do that. Well, we were at a doctor one day, and we had another friend with us, and we were the last people in there. It's late. These doctors are all corrupt. They're seeing, getting as many people through. This is when out-of-state people could come down here.
Yeah.
And they were just flooded.
Yeah, that what she's talking about. So back in that time, the doctors would literally sign 8 patients for 1 hour. So when you come in, it was a cash operation. You pay $100, $150, $200, whatever the doctor charges, and he sees 8 people within 1 hour. So literally, he's making.
Seen them. I've even seen doctors do group
visits.
Group visits where they have 5 people in one circle. How's your pain? How's your pain? How's your pain? How's your pain?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's so crazy. Oh.
So he was doing that, and we had another friend with us. We were the last ones in the office. He went back in to see the doctor, and me and my friend were just looking up, and we saw a script pad on the counter.
Got him.
So we took it. So we took that and we used that and we wrote fake scripts. We would, have people walk them and they all would go through. We would do them like after hours. So either the pharmacy's good, so either they're going to say yes or you have to come back tomorrow. If they say you have to come back tomorrow, we just leave and never come back. No big deal.
So were you scared at all when you were doing that? Because I know me, I get nervous.
I'm nervous. Yeah, I was scared, but when I'm using, it's not enough. It's not enough.
It's never enough.
It's not enough to stop me from that. And I always, in the beginning, I would get people to do it, but when you don't have anybody to do it and no pills, you got to do it yourself. Yeah. And so I never saw a doctor myself, but I did walk my own fake prescriptions.
Into the pharmacy?
Yep.
Okay. So at that time, I just want people to understand the power that an addiction has on you once it's got its claws in you. So you knew that whole time, this day I could get caught and go to jail.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because this is what I think when I was doing it, because we would do it after the doctors were closed, so we knew they weren't going to call and catch us at that moment.
Right.
So as long as either they tell me yes or no right now, I'm good. If they give me the pills and they catch me a week from now, when they catch up with the paper trail or they try to verify it and see that I didn't really go to that doctor, I don't care about a week from now, as long as I'm getting that today.
Yeah, you just care about today, right now, getting that
just using today.
Yeah. So what went down when you actually got caught for that? How did that go?
So, God, it's been so long. So at the time, my co-defendant was also doctor shopping, and then we were also walking fake prescriptions.
Okay.
When that script pad ran out, at the time you could still order prescription paper online, and there was no limit on it. I could order it to the house here. And it would just come. So we did that, and I learned how to print my own. So we were printing all these scripts. Well, at the same time in Pasco, there was another family that was also doing scripts. And their operation, I'm sure a lot of people know, their operation was huge. Mine was not that big. I only had a few people. Their operation was huge. So
Heartbreak? Operation Heartbreak?
I don't know if that's what it was called. I just know the family's name when they busted them all. But
we don't have to say all that.
Yeah. So it was that it was them, and then we were doing it too. So it was getting really heavy on the pharmacies, and shit was getting
selling
thick.
Pills
yeah.
too?
Yeah.
So okay.
That's how we paid our bills and all that.
So let's just say on average, with you using the pills and then selling the pills, how much were you making a month?
Oh, I don't even know. To be honest, I don't even know, because so every day we were getting at least a script a day, if not 2.
Okay.
So you got to think that's
15 a pill back then.
Yeah, back then probably 10 though, because it was it was what they were coming like water then, so it was slower. But I couldn't even tell you, it was hundreds and hundreds. I was probably using 100 pills a day.
Damn.
Because at that time I had
100 Oxy 30s.
Yeah, at that time I had elevated to an IV user.
Okay.
So I was no longer snorting or anything like that. I was an IV user then. So it was just.
I mean, when you get to the shooting up part and addiction, that can be. It's deep.
It's all or nothing. It's the end. There's only 2 ends.
What did you feel like the first time that you did it though? I know you got high and it felt great.
The first time that I did it, I actually did it with cocaine. I didn't even do it with pills. I did it with cocaine. Yeah, and
you don't even play, girl.
It was like a rush, and it was okay. I was scared of it, but drugs that I've never been scared of drugs that I really I knew what they were. That's why pills didn't scare me, because I know what it is.
A doctor gives them to you.
A doctor. It comes out of the pharmacy. I know what it is, but I never have done acid and hallucinogens, because I don't really know, those are man-made, so it kind of fucks with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I don't know. It's just you just start shooting up, and it's it's so much faster and so much heavier, and it gives you exactly what you're looking for. You know what I mean? So, and it just once you, and I believe it is true. Once you start to shoot up, you don't go any other way.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot too. What? So okay, so you're the guy you're staying with, doctor shopping, 10 doctors a day. You're doing 100 pills a day. So because in that lifestyle, you go up, but there's always a crash following the up. So what was your crash at that point?
We had gone to one of his doctor's appointments, his regular scheduled doctor's appointment in Tampa. He goes in, and shit's kind of funny. They're acting funny. He's being funny. The vibe's funny. I'm in the waiting room. It's a newer doctor, which at that time could go either way. They were trying to shut him down, so they were raiding him all the time.
I remember that.
And finally, one of the nurses walked in and said, "Listen, I'm going to let you go." The other day, a detective from the Pasco Sheriffs were here. They're investigating you for trafficking. They told us when you show up to call. I called the number twice. I haven't got a response, so if I was you, I'd go. And so he left.
Kind of blessed right there.
Yeah, so he left. So right then we knew we were done. It was just a matter of time. And then he got busted. How did he get busted? Oh, so he was going to court for a driving on suspended, something stupid. He was on bond for it, and he was going to court. He ended up doing 60 days from the streets. They gave him 60 days. Well, when he was in, 2 weeks later, they came in and charged him with trafficking. And they put the warrants out for my arrest.
So how did they know you were tied in? Because of the paper trail?
Because of the fake scripts.
Okay.
They had chased us one time. We were coming home from a pharmacy in Tampa, or from a doctor, and we were trying to get to the pharmacy. And he decided he was going to go around 5 cars. Well, one of them happened to be a cop car. And so they were chasing us, and we were like, we're not stopping. He has no license.
So you, took off?
So they took off. We were in a Mazda RX-8.
Oh,
so
wow.
we were on 52, coming from the Parkway. So we were on 52 flying, and I had fake scripts on us. So I'm crinkling up these fake scripts and throwing them out the window. Like this, trying to get rid of them. They stop and get these fake scripts. And they had
the ones you threw out of the car?
window. Yeah, they stop and get them. So they had our names. Yeah, but they were already looking at us, and they had arrested somebody that had walked a script for me one time. It just kind of was all happening at once, coming down. And then when they charged him while he was in jail, they put warrants out for my arrest.
Okay, so what happened the day you finally got the cuffs on?
I was on the run. I knew they'd been looking for me. They were investigating. They had been following me for a while, but then I went on the run and I was hiding.
Right.
A guy had let me stay at his rental house, so I was there alone. And they were listening to my phone. They had tapped my phone.
Damn, they were after you.
And so they found they heard me talking on the phone. They knew where I was at. They found the address I was at, and they were gonna come. And they heard me say something about a pistol, so they thought I had a pistol, which I did not. Which I should have, because I was alone, but I did not. I did not have, but they thought I had a pistol. So when they came they were
deep.
coming. Yeah, and I was 90 pounds at the time. I was I was a full blown addict, and so I was 90 pounds. And they came in, they raided the house, threw the bombs, and.
So when they finally got you that day, was there I know for me sometimes when I've been caught in those type of situations, was there a relief when it was done?
I mean. It was, because it was
or
now I don't have to hide.
Or did you automatically just think I'm gonna be freaking dope sick?
No, I didn't. I was already dope sick.
Oh, okay.
So it was at that time I had this fake script game was done because all my scripts were bad.
Is that when the database finally kicked in?
No, that's that's years later. But this is years before that. This is when Rick Scott said we didn't have enough money to support that database, which was fucking bullshit.
Right. That's ladies and gentlemen. So that right there was when 7 Floridians were dying a day due to opiate deaths. So overdose from opiates. And that's because, exactly what she just said, our governor didn't want to sign an agreement to put a pill database into effect. We were one of the last states to get it.
We were the only state without it.
Right, exactly. So,
and at that time, 98% of the pain pills in America came out of Florida.
Right, yeah, I remember that. That was in the paper or some shit.
There's a documentary called The OxyContin Express. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you're arrested.
Yeah, so
they took you into Land O'Lakes jail?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, some of them had masks on and shit. They did that whole thing because whatever, they don't want you to see them or whatever.
Undercover.
So when they arrest me, I'm in the house or whatever, and I'm like, what am I going to jail for? Obviously I know, but I want to know what you're charging me.
You want to know what they know.
And he was like, well, you think you can run? He was like, so he's like trafficking, and he was like, I'm giving you 3 counts now. And I was like, oh, okay, but mind you, when they came into the house, no weapons, no drugs, no paraphernalia. No, nothing. I had
just slapped you with 3
I had
trafficking
nothing.
charges?
Well, they gave me 3 trafficking. They gave me 8 obtaining a controlled substance by fraud, and then I had 4 dealing in stolen properties. But I beat the trafficking charge because I never had a sale. They never caught me selling to anybody. I didn't even have 1 pill in the house. So my trafficking charges had to be dropped.
So what was your experience like in Land O'Lakes jail? I
had been there. I had done a 6-month misdemeanor sentence before that. So I mean, it's jail. It's shitty. You know, it was. I can't say that I was really scared of it. I had known so many people that had been to jail and done jail time.
Did you know a lot of people when you got into the pod?
Not the first time, no. The first time I went to jail, I didn't know anybody. Or the first time when I went to prison, I didn't know anybody in there, and I had to make new friends, and I did, though, immediately. You know, it's like you don't know somebody, but you know somebody who knows somebody.
Right.
And then you connect on that level with them, and then, you know, whatever. But
so when I was in there, I always hear, like, crazy stories. Like, obviously the guys' pods are crazy, but I always hear, like, the girls get wild over there. So, tell the people, like, what it's like for a female to go to jail.
Well, to go to jail as a female, it can be, like, super detrimental and scary, or it can be, honestly, like, I have some really great memories from jail and prison.
Okay.
I mean, like, obviously I don't want, like, it's not a place to go, but I have met some really good people there. But girls tend to get into relationships, even if you're not, like, gay on the outside. They tend to do that. They tend to make families. It's just like that nurture.
Oh, like
I think
a mom
in women.
and
Moms,
aunt
sisters. Yeah, like, in prison more so than jail. But, like, I did, you know, my second time I went to prison, I did 15 months in county before I went.
Damn.
So, yeah. So, I mean, you get close with people and you know, you love them. But I mean, girls do get live. There's a lot of them that just like to while out for no fucking reason, just act a fool.
Like Buck.
Yeah. I mean, but I have been in times in the dorm where I can't remember what happened, but they were locking us down and they were shaking us down. And they told us to bring all our shit out of the cells, and none of us were having it. We were like,
so the whole pod bucked.
The whole pod bucked. So all of us were just throwing our shit over the top tier. The LT, which is the lieutenant, was in there. And it's just like, you don't even know why, but you're just like, fuck it, it's you want to treat me like an animal, I'll act like an animal. Sometimes it's hard in jail and in prison. You don't want to be that statistic of an animal. They're just locking me away like that. I want to be better, but at the same time, it's hard on your mental.
So I think that's perfect because what you were just saying, people don't understand, like, you go to jail sucks, you got, people that might try you, it's the food sucks. But the main thing that sucks when you go to jail is the guards because they make your time 20 times as harder by the way they talk to you, the way they treat you. And that's why so many people go to jail and they start bucking, like they just don't give a fuck because they're being treated like shit.
Most of the like times in county jail that I got in trouble and like got write-ups for was conduct which disrupts. And
against the cops, right?
Yeah, being like, well, whatever, fuck you, lock me down, take the phones away, we don't care, because it's just like it's crazy, they take your phones away for stupid shit.
Anything,
really, and it's like, man, we're trying to figure stuff out. Not everybody in here is a murderer, and even then, those people are innocent until proven guilty. You have you can't, they just treat you like shit.
And
a lot of times, and a lot of them you went to school with. The thing with county jail is you see a lot of people you went to school with, so then it's like.
Now they're getting you back.
Now they're gonna get you back because why? Because you weren't my favorite person in high school.
Yeah, they were dorks and you picked on them. So hey, what do you think about this? So I'm a big I don't understand why. Perfect example. You weren't hurting someone. You weren't doing crimes against old people. Really, what your crimes were just to feed the addiction and keep it going. So what I don't understand is why, like you said, they're bringing you into jail and putting you in a pod with people that are actually killing people, that are actually raping people, that are doing all that crazy shit. Don't you feel like if they would stop doing that and then maybe build more rehabs for people to go to,
yeah, absolutely. When I went to jail for that stuff, the first time I went to prison, I was never offered rehab. Because at that time, my charges fell under drug dealing and not drug using. And so drug court and all that was for drug users, not drug dealers. So they would not offer me that. I went to prison immediately. I was never offered no help. And the second time I went to prison, I went to a place called Bradenton, which is a pre-work release, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, later on. But that place is what saved my life. And they have since then shut that place down for DOC cuts. Wow. And I could bring 1 million people that would tell you that place saved their life.
Yeah. That topic like is dear to my heart, and it's because I care, and I've been in situations like that, and they need to change that shit ASAP because that's not right. And you heard her right there just say at the end of all this bullshit, she finally got into a rehab /
through prison.
And it saved her life. So definitely something for the people watching this to grasp, because that's a big thing. All right, so you're in Land O'Lakes jail. You said they dropped some of your felonies.
They dropped the 3 trafficking, so I only had 8 obtaining by frauds, which was for walking.
3rd-degree felonies.
Yeah, they didn't even charge me for making fake prescriptions. I only got charged for the ones I walked. So for the ones I physically took in, they charged me for those. So I had 8 of those, and then I had 4 dealing in stolen property for pawning some stolen stuff.
Okay.
So my first offer was 5 years.
Did you have a public defender through all this?
I did have a public defender, and then I got switched to regional counsel because of my co-defendant.
Okay. So can you explain to them what regional counsel is?
So a public defender is what you get assigned by the courts if you can't afford your own attorney. And then if you have a co-defendant who is somebody who commits your crimes with you, who also has a public defender, it creates what's called a conflict of interest, because the lawyers work out of the same office, and we could be either fighting our cases, we could be going about our cases 2 totally different ways. So what they do then is they conflict you out to regional counsel, which is also, it's more of a street lawyer than a public defender. But it's basically the same thing, they're just out of a different office.
Okay, yes. Definitely what she just said.
Yeah, so when I got, my first offer for all that was 5 years. And mind you, I'd never been on felony probation. First time felony offender, never been on probation. I was 19 years old at the time of the crimes and 21 when I got convicted.
So what did you think when they said 5 years?
It was like the end of the world. I couldn't, it was like heartbreaking. It was so, and I come from a family who doesn't use, my parents didn't use drugs, my brother doesn't use drugs, it's your average American family. So to hear 5 years, for me to have to call my mother, I can swallow that, I did what I did, it's hard to, but I can take that. But for me to have to call my mother who can't comprehend that, is hard. And so I had to, obviously, because, that's my family and they're the ones taking care of me, supporting me. They love me through everything.
So when you say comprehend that, so for the people that are watching, I was told a long time ago, an addict can never explain the addiction to somebody that isn't an addict, because they'll never be able to understand. And I think that's kind of what you meant by comprehending your shit.
Yeah, how do you, as a mother, which I don't have children, but how do you as a mother accept the fact that you can't have your child for 5 years, no matter how old they are?
Yeah, that's...
for some, and then, of course, then I know she's going to feel blame and guilt, which is not anything that they did. It's nothing they did.
Right.
So, I, of course, didn't accept 5 years. I mean, that's just out of this world. I had Judge Andrews in Pasco County at the time.
I had him, too.
Yeah, so he was one of the major felony judges, and he kind of wasn't with it either, though. He was like, he was like, I think we should reset. He was like, I think we should come back. So eventually, my regional counsel asked me if I would take 18 months in DOC and 24 months probation. It's called a split sentence. You can only get it one time. And
so is that what do you mean the one time? Did he downward departure you?
No, it's different than a downward departure. It's called a split sentence. Okay. I guess it's just like another mitigation.
I haven't heard of that, but yeah.
So it's, you do half of it in, half of it out. So I took the 18 months DOC with 24 months followed. And I'd already been in county 6 months, so you
got credit for time served?
Yeah, yeah. So they, at that time, people were, you were moving up to prison quickly. They were taking girls every other week going to prison.
So were you happy with that deal, or?
Well, yeah, because by that time, 5 years was holy shit, I had already took that in, dealt with that, swallowed that, and realized, okay, well, the worst comes to worst is 5 years.
And that's what the system does to you. They hit her with that 5 years first, because they know whatever sentence they come back with on their second offer, she's going to be
too scared to say no.
I'll run it, because I don't want to do 5, I'll do 18 months. And that's how they get you.
And then took probation.
Yeah, so...
So I
That
went.
shit pisses me off. That's why.
Yeah, it is. It's fucked up. And then I was 21, so there is what's called like a youthful offender program. I don't know. I mean, in Florida, I'm sure it's through other states too. But in Florida, youthful offenders are if you're under the age of 24, it's pretty much boot camp. But if you're over the age
So you went to JIT camp for females.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you're over the age of 21, you don't necessarily have to go. So when I was sentenced, the state said, "Are you sentencing as a youthful offender?" And Judge Andrews said, "I don't think that we need to." So I'm like, good. I'm not a YO. No youthful offender. I'm going to go to general population. I already know people in prison because all females go through Lowell, which is in Ocala. That's our reception center.
Okay.
So I already knew people there. I have friends there, general population. To be honest, let's go. I'm ready to start it.
So when you got to Lowell, like just pulling up to the front of the prison when you were on the bus, like what were your thoughts?
I mean, I was kind of excited to see my friends, to be honest, but it was like, because I was so used to the idea of it by then, but it was, I was like, holy shit, it's barbed wire, guard tower, guns,
yep.
Like, COs in jail, they do treat you like shit, but COs in prison treat you worse.
Okay, so go into
It's more of like a mass in prison than an individual. Like I've been in county jail where they do get one-on-one with certain people who need more help than others. I have seen it, but in prison you're just in the mass. It's just a mass. There's mentally ill people everywhere who need way more help than they're giving, and it's just a mass. So they just treat everybody the same, and that's probably what's scary is because my life's in these people's hands and they treat me like I'm nothing.
So were you like literally afraid of what could happen to you by them?
But eventually, I don't know. I hadn't learned that much of prison yet.
Okay,
but when
so
I
were
became
green.
Yeah, I was a little green.
Okay.
Yeah, I was, but I wasn't. I had only heard like the good things. I knew people there. I didn't think I was going to be a youthful offender, so I thought I was good. I get into reception, and I went to prison with nobody that I knew. So nobody from the county that I knew was on my bus, So we get there. There's other people from other counties. We're in reception. I go up to get my DC number because I've never been on probation, so I don't know a DC number.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I didn't have one yet. They never assigned me one. So I get up there and he goes, "Oh, Carswell." And I said, "Yes." He goes, "We have a JIT on our hands." And I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "You're a youthful offender, ma'am." And I said, "What?" I said, "No, I wasn't sentenced that way." And he said, "But the state chose to make you one."
Wow.
And I said,
so what were you thinking then?
So I was like, oh shit, because I've heard of JIT camp.
Yeah.
I've heard of YOs. I've heard what it is, the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, shit, because I knew I had no friends there. Yeah. For sure.
Because they're all younger and you're hanging out with
Yeah, I had no friends in YO, so I was like, great, and when you're a youthful offender, you don't associate with general population at all. You don't talk to them. You wear different clothing. At the time, you wore different clothing. I don't know if they still do, and it was just, I was at that point, I got scared. Because I was like, holy shit, man. Yeah. I had heard about as soon as you walk in the dorm, they try to steal your shit and all this shit. I'm like, great, I'm going to be fighting right when I walk in. Now I'm in prison. Then my mom's going to get a call that I, been in a fight and all this shit in prison. And it was just, I was scared. So
what happened when you walked in the dorm?
There was one other girl from a different county that was also a YO.
Okay.
But she was younger. And so in YO dorm at Lowell, it's a dorm it's Charlie dorm, and it has 2 wings.
Okay.
So it only has 2. So one side is 21 and under,
so
and one side
the officer station's in the middle. Okay.
Yeah,
so
and you can see,
2.
and I can see through the bubble into the other dorm.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So it's 1 and 2. So one side's 21 and under, and one side's 21 and over, which thank goodness breaks up the fucking monotony of like adults and kids a little bit. But
yeah.
It was immediately at Lowell in the main unit. There is no AC. It's like all window dorms, so the windows are open because it's summer.
I hope you all heard that. So when you go to prison in Florida, you're not going into a prison that has AC.
Unless you go to Gadsden.
Right. Which that's, in male prison, there's private camps, but very few that have AC. Yeah. So just picture you trying to sleep when it's 100 degrees out in a dorm with 90 people. Yeah. Like, shit is not cool. And it's 2020 and there's no AC. Like, something's going on in the Florida Department of Corrections. Why aren't they fixing stuff like that? I just wanted to let people know because, and
I've lived in prison without bathrooms. I've had to use porta potties brought onto a compound before in prison.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. So anyway, so the windows are open because it's summer. The windows are open.
Right.
Me and the other girl, they're dropping all the GPs off. We're walking, and at the time, YOs wore yellow T-shirts, blue pants with with the white stripe.
Okay.
And then we had a hat. A colored hat was kind of your level of
where you're at. In the jits.
Where you're at in the JIT program. Like,
okay.
If you've been good, bad, whatever. So we're walking across a compound, and I am just like, I can't believe it. I'm just like,
shit's about to get real.
Like, this is, I can't even, and we're walking towards the dorm, and I can immediately hear them. Like, it sounds like a fucking zoo in there. And I'm just like, why is this happening to me?
So in your head, though, like, were you like, all right, nobody's going to try me.
Yeah,
Any person that says one thing.
Well, yeah, I already knew, like, that's how I was in county. Like, so I'm the type of person, I'm not going to go looking for a fight by any means.
Right.
But I will stand up for myself.
Yeah.
I will defend myself, and I'm not going to let you, like, talk shit to me. Like, I'm nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially there. And so, especially as a YO. You just can't. So I'm walking up there. I'm like, all right, if they're going to do it, we're going to do it. So, I mean, I go in. Nobody tried to steal my bag right away.
Okay, so,
you know what I'm saying?
So you slide in.
So I just get in. They tell me the bunks. Mind you, I've never been to DOC, so I don't know the rules of anything. You know what I mean? I know how nothing goes. Nothing. I don't know anything. I don't know about lockers,
that, like,
nothing.
you mean the rules of
bed
the
making,
Oh, okay,
bed making.
Okay.
Class A. I don't know nothing. I don't know which side. I just got there. They told me you're supposed to wear your tag here, whatever. YOs are different. What boots you're supposed to wear. I know nothing about it. You know, so I'm nervous as it is. Guards are yelling. They expect you to know everything. And then now I'm in this like boot camp, and I'm just like, holy shit.
So were they having you march or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. March, chant, PT, all that. We don't talk in the chow hall at all.
So when you got to the JIT dorm, after you learned like all the stuff and everything, when was the first time someone actually tried you?
So I guess I'd been in the dorm maybe a month.
Okay.
I've made maybe like one friend, but we're not really friends. We kind of just sit on the yard and chat. And it's like, because when you're a YO, everybody does everything together. Yard time's together because we don't associate with general population.
Right.
When we go to canteen line, it's together. Everything's together. So we were kind of friends, but we weren't really friends,
you're just like kikiing
just
with
whatever. Like I said, I didn't know anybody
right.
in that dorm. I didn't know anybody, and I'm not allowed to associate with other dorms. So it was almost Christmas time, and my mom had just sent me like $300 for Christmas.
Okay.
Like for my canteen.
Christmas present on the wire.
So we're getting up. We're getting ready to go to chow for breakfast. We got to get up, Class A, full uniform. We march to chow, but everybody's got to be ready to go, and we march.
Okay.
So I'm looking for my ID tag because if you get caught without full Class A, you're gonna have to do PT, which is physical training or whatever it stands for, I guess.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna have to do
what
this
is
shit.
Class A so everybody knows?
So Class A is gonna be your blue uniform, your blue pants with your white stripe, your blue shirt tucked in. As a YO, if you had the pants that buttoned, you had to have your belt.
Okay, yeah.
Our Class A was a hat, hair off our neck, nails short. That's all YO Class A.
Okay.
But it's a little bit more extensive than general population, but it's not your T-shirt and shorts that you would wear on the yard. Not your,
right.
For YOs it was boots or tennis shoes, not Crocs. So we get into Class A and I'm looking for my ID tag. And I can't find my ID tag. And I had it under the corner of my mattress, and this other little girl next to me who I didn't know, who was relatively new as a YO.
Damn.
Who she was newer than me, but not, I'd only been there like a month. For some reason, I seen her, she's like, oh, I'll tuck your bed in over here. And then I was like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like I was making my bed, but I didn't think of it until my ID tag was gone. So then when I seen my ID tag on, I knew.
And that's a shitty feeling too.
Because if somebody steals your ID tag in prison, when they go to canteen, the person working canteen is also an inmate. So if I take another girl's ID tag up there, I tell the girl, hey, I'll give you $5, let me shop out, and so the girl does. And that's how that goes. So if she steals my ID tag, she's going to be able to use my money. So I told her, I said, I know you got my tag. And she's
so did you step right off to her?
Yes.
Okay, because you knew, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, we were going to breakfast. If I get caught without my tag, I'm going to have to do push-ups, jumping jacks, lunges. And from the YO dorm to the chow hall was up a hill and down a hill.
Oh,
they
so
would make us lunge up and lunge down.
Yeah.
So I was pissed. So she's telling me, no, I don't have it. No, I don't have it. And I'm telling, and like, by this time other people are starting to see what's going on. I'm trying not to be super loud because I don't want to draw attention. She's like, I don't have your tag. I was like, listen here, motherfucker. I was like, when we get back from chow, if you don't give me my tag back, we are going to slide. I promise you. Because by now, they're calling line up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I promise you we're going to slide. She's like, I don't have your tag, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay. Make it through chow. Don't get caught without my tag. We get back. I'm like, all right, you got my tag? I'm like, I know you have my tag. You need to give me my tag. I'm telling you we're going to go to lock. And she's like, I don't have your tag, da-da-da. She goes to swing. So I duck her, and I come up, and I hit her, and I put her right on her back.
Damn.
And when she went on her back, I was like, give me my tag. And then I just stepped back like this, and they came.
Oh, the officers?
Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't whoop her or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying?
It was just quick.
But it was just quick, but you have to do that. So then they, of course, they're like, what happened? They seen us fight from the window, from the bubble, so they knew whatever. So they were taking us to lock. Well, when they were taking us to lock, they inventory your stuff out of your box.
And they got it.
And they found my tag in her box, but I still went to lock for fighting. So
That's
the
crazy,
first Christmas, first Christmas and New Year's away from home, I was in confinement. No contact with family, nothing.
So was that your first time ever doing confinement time?
Yes.
Okay.
For in prison, yeah.
And did you guys have a bunkie in there, or was it single?
In Lowell, you get a bunkie. If you're a YO, your bunkie can only be a YO. So I didn't have a bunkie at first, and then I got a wild YO bunkie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
she was wild as hell.
Seeing that was your first. I know for me, when I first did confinement time ever in my life, I just was like, man, this shit sucks.
It does. You get out every 3 days for a shower.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, same with me.
You get no canteen unless before you get sentenced. But by the time you order canteen on a
AC,
bubble
DC.
sheet, by the time you order canteen on a bubble sheet and it would come to you, you've already been sentenced to your confinement time. So they don't give it to you.
Get it.
Yeah. So there's no point in it.
So when you were in confinement, when did you finally get a bunkie?
I'd probably been in there like a week and a half.
Okay.
And another YO had gotten in trouble, so they brought her in and housed her with me because I still hadn't been, sentenced on how much time I had to do in confinement or whatever.
Right.
So they brought her in, and she was younger and she's wild because you got to remember as a YO, as a youthful offender, I was there with a girl who was 15 doing 3 life sentences.
Crazy.
Could you imagine at your mindset at 15 and you're in prison for the rest of your life? 3 life sentences, not even one that you might get turned over. 3 lives.
It's that pressure.
So, they're wild. They don't, and I mean, at 15, I probably would have been the same way. Who cares? I'm already here anyway. You're not, you have no,
you're already
not
in
grown.
jail.
You're not even an adult. YOs that are that young, they still have to give them regular milk in jail or in prison. That
crazy.
tells you there's a law that says you have to give them regular milk. That's how young they are.
That's crazy. 3 life sentences.
Because in prison, if you don't know, you get powdered milk. It's not real carton milk, so.
So how was she wild? I mean, you said she was wild. So how did that? How'd you find that out?
Well, she just came in and she was just unruly. Didn't want to listen to the guards. Like, I had fun with her. Like I said, we made a Christmas tree out of paper and hung it on the wall and shit. We tried to make the best of it, and I had fun with her. But when it came to the guards, she had no respect for authority.
So she brought that heat.
She brought that. Yeah, she didn't care. Yeah. She fucked with them. She didn't want to listen. She wanted to wild, and they ended up spraying her while we were in the cell. And that sucked.
So that's when she says spray. They come in with a big ass canister and they slide it through the food slot and let it rip.
Yeah, and
that shit's no joke.
No, and I put a blanket over my head so I didn't get no direct hit, but it's still you breathe.
You can't breathe
it
sucks.
Shit. But it is what it is. And as the thing about YOs is, one thing I will say about youthful offenders is no matter what. When the shit's going down against guards, it's all of us against them. No matter who you have beef with as a YO, everybody does team up, and it's us against them. Because it has to be.
Yeah.
They're really rough on YOs. When I was there, we'd be doing PT, which is, jumping jacks, lunges, push-ups. And they're kids, they don't have respect. They're still learning themselves, finding who they are, and they're in prison, so they're disrespectful. Yeah. So when they act up, those guards would put their hands on them. I've seen them put their boots in their back and shove their faces in the ground. I've been grabbed up off by my shirt, off my feet by a CO for just talking back. And I will admit, I was talking back. I was talking shit, but I'm a child at that point. I mean, I'm a youthful offender.
So what did he do? He just was grabbed you up and then slammed you?
Yeah, well, just put me back down on my feet and told me you better get it together and get in line.
Damn. So what was what did you see the guards do to other inmates?
I mean, like I said, I've seen them put their boots in their backs. I've seen them grab all their shit and dump it on the floor. I've seen them dump water on people's personal property. Pictures.
So that's pictures and
mail and shit like that. I've seen them throw stuff away, step on it. Oh, it's ripped. I've never seen anybody raped. I'll say that, but it does happen. I've seen
that happen between
mental abuse.
Okay.
You know, I've seen where you're nothing. You
Yeah.
ain't never going to be shit.
Yep.
And to somebody who's 16, 17, 18
That
years old,
affects
that's
you.
detrimental to their
Yeah.
growth, you
Yeah.
know? And even as 21, like, it made me feel like this is who I am and this is my life, you know? Like, I made my bed, I'm going to lie in it, and it's never going to change it. I can't say I didn't have any hope, because obviously I made it out.
Right.
But it puts
It
you
affects
down.
you.
Yeah, it puts you down.
So when you say rape, are you talking about the guards on inmate, or are you talking about inmate on inmate?
Both. But for women, rape isn't, I don't think it happen. I can't speak for a men's prison, but for women, inmate on inmate rape doesn't happen as often, I would think.
Okay.
Because women form relationships more. It's more open. It's more accepted.
Right.
So there's a lot of, sex is everywhere.
So okay, so is there any gangs in the Florida women's JIT camps?
In the JIT camps, yeah. In prisons there is, but they're not as prominent as males because obviously we're women, so there's not
Right.
as many gang members. I would say I saw more gangs in JIT camp than I did in general population.
Okay. And so, like, who did you click up with when you finally, like, clicked up?
I didn't, because like I said, I had that one person that I kind of just talked with. I got into the fight and I went to confinement. I got out of confinement. I was out of confinement 2 days, and my sergeant called me up to the bubble, which is where the officer station is, and they said, you're being declassified and you're being transferred to the annex. You're
Thank
going to
God.
general population, and it was the best thing that I was told.
Yeah.
And when I was told that, all the other YOs, how did this happen? How did you do that? I said, I don't know, because I just got out of confinement.
Blessed.
I just got out of confinement, so you would have thought they would have classed me way way
like
down.
a higher custody.
Yeah, so I don't know, and I went to the annex, and then I got shipped to a private prison up in the Panhandle.
Oh, wow, okay. So when you say, like, there's sex everywhere, were there females trying you in there?
Yeah, girls always want to. The first time I was in prison, I really didn't, like, get with that or
Yeah.
whatever. The second time I did, but the first time I did not. I was still really young, still really unsure of, like, who I was as a person at the time.
Yeah,
so, you know, but, I mean, they do, but they're not, like, it's more... if you put yourself in that situation, they'll
there.
pressure you, and then if you try to back from it, then that's when they're going to be like, oh no, because you were out here acting like this before, yeah, and now you want to backstep and act like it's nothing. So, but I mean, they didn't try me. And a lot of things with YOs too is what's weird about YOs in general population is in YOs, stealing is accepted. They steal.
Damn.
From anybody, and it's okay. Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they'll steal anything. They'll steal your DLC clothes.
So stealing it, are they like, you go to the shower, come back, your shit's gone?
Your
or
shit's
are they
gone.
walking up to you with a weapon and saying, give me that?
I've never seen them, like, actually walk up with a weapon and say, give me that. I've seen weapon fights, for sure. But I've seen them say, you're giving me this to live here, which
So
obviously
paying rent.
They didn't do
breaking
that
it
to
off.
me. But when I first got in there was, you don't have a lock for your locker. So
What? They don't sell it on Canteen?
they do, but you don't get it for, like, what, 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah.
And as a YO, stealing's accepted. So when you don't have a lock on your locker,
It's
you're
game
fucked.
on.
But this girl who slept next to me was pregnant, and they didn't fuck with her because she was pregnant. So the first couple weeks, I would put my stuff in her locker.
Shit?
Yeah, she would let me.
That's
Which was
what's
cool,
up.
because she's like, she's like, I don't do this, but you sleep right next to me. She's like, they don't fuck with me because I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, for real? And they didn't.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I was like, damn.
You made it out right there.
Yeah, I was like, thank God, because I didn't get a lock for a while, you know?
So out of the whole prison bid in the Florida Department of Corrections, what would you say is the craziest thing that you saw? If you want to find out what the answer to that is, you're going to have to stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn those notifications on all so you can hear it first. And with that, it's DOC TV. I'm out.